Took a long time.
Study.
It's a good
40
training.
years.
Good evening and welcome. It's 7:03 p.m. and welcome to September 9th, 2013 meeting of the Park and Rec Commission. First item on the agenda tonight is public forum. Seeing no one in the audience wishing to speak, we'll get rid of that one. Item number 2, staff and director reports. Any questions or issues or concerns with any of the reports that we received as part of the mail package? Hearing none, cross that item off. Number 3, correspondence. I don't think there was any.
I don't think there was any.
No, there was none this time.
So that's well, you could tell it's summertime.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Approval of the minutes. Now we have item of protocol. Do we approve? Do we have to issue these separately?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the draft minutes of the town of Guilford that were created for the August 5th meeting.
I move that we approve them as read. Second.
All in favor?
I have to
Aye.
abstain. I have to abstain as well.
I'm abstaining too, I think. Wait a minute, you're
Okay,
going
but
so
I think
fast.
we have enough. That's fine.
I think I'm abstaining.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we have a second set of draft minutes that was for the special meeting held on August 12th, 2013, to basically approve the bills for the month since we didn't have a quorum at the August 5th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
You abstain. I have to abstain.
I'm abstaining.
I'm abstaining as well.
But we were able to get a quorum, so we got that bill. So then I think we're going to address that a little bit later. Right, Rick? I made a mistake. Did we want to add under new business another agenda item with respect to lacrosse?
Yeah, we're going to lacrosse scoreboard in Plains Park.
A, B, C, D, E, so we'll make it item E, lacrosse. Sorry about that. Okay, item number 5, approval of bills. Anybody in the amount of, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move we accept the bills. Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Hey, I didn't even see you walk in, you snuck in on me.
I did.
Quiet
window,
full house, I know, right?
Do we have an amount? We didn't say an amount, did we?
Yeah, the 138,000.
One-
Okay,
on the bottom
I
of
missed
that.
that.
One- I'm sorry.
Did we
Approval of the
say it?
bills for $484.11. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 6, old business, standing fields committee.
Not too much new, still talking about the Guilford High School baseball field project that's right now supposedly on target to be done this fall. I think in the next week or so, they're supposed to start getting the backstop in the home run fence, and then seed and sod the areas. And that, they tell us it'll be done by mid-December.
I guess I know where I'm gonna be a couple of times a week. Because they did tell us that, we'd be able to play the high school season and the subsequent summer seasons for Junior Legion and Guilford baseball on that field next year. If we don't get the grass seed and the sod down by October, November, it's not gonna happen. It's just, that's my opinion. So, but they gave us a date of starting in the middle of September and ending by the middle of December. And if that's the case, and they sod most of it, we should be okay, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's they sodding?
The school building committee,
Oh,
not us. Everything is under control of the building of the new fields and all that stuff is it's all in their budget, that new budget
In
for
the
the schools.
Right.
Now it's gonna be up to us to maintain it later on, I guess. Okay, Quakers Beach project.
We had our rededication on August 23rd. It was wonderful for those who were there. There was a great turnout. We had the Naples Pizza truck, and also ice cream. We had a band. wonderful to see how many people turned out, and the reception for the park of those who were there that came up to us to talk to us. It was wonderful. It was really lovely to see people really enjoying it. It looked beautiful. We now are in the, we just went through the bidding process. We had 8 original people go through the walkthrough. We're down to 2 bidders. So we're making a recommendation next Monday at the Board of Selectmen after the reference checks have been completed.
That's for the board.
That's for the boardwalk, correct. So I think that's where we are right now, unless you have something else that we could add to it.
My only comment is, in the end, the proof is in the pudding. And again, I've reiterated this over and over again. Thank you both for your patience, because if I had left that up to me, we would have been at war with a lot of people in town, so I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a great legacy. Good job. Chittenden Park Walk, see.
That one is, we're still awaiting DEEP approvals. Will submitted the forms for that. And he and I met with the Building Code Board of Appeals. There was a, I may not be getting this right, but there's a, I don't know, new rule or something written in it regarding structures near the water like that. And the Jacobs project was grandfathered because that had already been approved. And so Will and I met with this group, and they've approved the boardwalk for Chittenden Park. So we're all set with that. The next step would be for the planning zone applicant. It's more, it's like a dangerous species, kind of form and then we are meeting with Claire Kane from the Connecticut Forest and Park Association, is really our partner in this, on Tuesday, September 17th, to just see where we are with the funding and kind of just start getting our ducks in row and have this ready to be dedicated next June.
Okay. 6D, town's 375th anniversary celebration.
I just left the meeting of the Guilford 375th anniversary celebration, and they launched their new website today.
Okay.
So it's Guilford CT, GUILFORD CT 375.org, and it's beautiful. They're going to continually update it as we go through the next year and a half. A couple of the immediate events. On November 21st, we're going to have a fundraiser to benefit the Crystal Ball, which is the dance coming up the following March. And the fundraiser is going to be at the Guilford Yacht Club from 6:30 to 11. And there are going to be 2 auctions, silent auction and a live auction. And the auctioneers are going to be Tony Fabiano and John Seville.
Oh, that'll be good.
So it should be fine.
What's the date of that again?
It's going to be November 21st.
Okay,
It's a
first.
Thursday. Yeah.
That's not Thanksgiving?
No.
No, I don't think it
The
is.
28th is Thanksgiving.
Could be. I don't think they'd hold it on Thanksgiving.
No, I wouldn't think so.
It's a rough one.
Or my birthday. And,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
you have it? You have the?
No, I
Oh,
was
okay.
just repeat the website for the camera.
Sure. The website is guilfordct375.org. And the event that comes next after the fundraiser and the raffle is the Guilford Generation Jubilee. And that's going to be held on December 31st,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve day.
From 12 to 8, with activities going on in here from 1 to 7 at the community center. And they've got a lot lined up for it, including an open mic at Cilantro's, a bunch of different music venues. There's a bunch of different genres, and then in the community center, there's going to be a lot of children's activities and what have you. So we're going to have a photo booth, and the Critter Guy's going to be here, and a bunch of senior activities. So
What day of the week is it?
it's whatever day December 31st
First
is.
is,
and
It's a Tuesday, I think, I'm not sure.
There's gonna be buses that run around the green.
No, I was just worried about it being a Saturday or a Sunday.
Yeah.
No, it's a Tuesday.
Good.
Yeah, and it's during the week. I mean, the town offices are still gonna be open during it, but there's gonna be a bonfire and Look for the Good program. I don't know if you've seen that. She's gonna be
Mhm.
here. We're meeting with her tomorrow night. So it's really shaping up to be, really great program, so,
Where's the bonfire gonna be held?
on the green.
On the green.
Really?
On the green. Yes, with fireworks to follow.
Yes.
There's a couple trees are taken down. Trying to get rid of them.
Just an FYI for the camera, we need a lot of volunteers. So, hopefully we can depend on, some of the high school students and maybe Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops and PF to come. We need 40 alone for the community center, so,
It's an opportunity for us.
Seniors.
yeah.
A lot of the booster groups
Yeah.
whose fall and winter sports are in season
Yep,
to provide some assistance also. I mean, the high school and the middle school, so.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Seniors need to put in their time, volunteer time.
And you can volunteer through the website too. There's a form on the website, or you can contact me, 203-376-6156. So,
You're brave.
that's all right, I need volunteers.
Suzanne, has anybody contacted any of the scout groups in town?
Not yet, we haven't contacted them yet. I did contact Guilford High School, and they did post something up for community service hours, but we've just started gathering volunteers, so.
Because I can give you the contacts of all the troop masters if you want for the
That
troop-
would be
Boy Scout
absolutely
troops.
wonderful,
Yeah.
because we really need volunteers. So far, I have one.
What about the
So,
Girl Scouts? Do you have their
The
contact?
Girl Scouts.
yes,
Yeah, I'll
I
check
will-
that too, but the Boy Scouts are the ones, they're working more, I just know who they are more,
Right.
because they work with the Eagle projects. But we probably have in the computer some of the scout groups too, Girl Scouts.
To kick it off, there's going to be a town photo. They're going to take a town photo on the green, so part of the area will be blocked off, so the fire trucks can come in and take it. I believe Catherine Kieran is going to be doing it. And then there's going to be a noise parade after. And Sam Mallory, who actually named the event, is a 7th grader at Adams, and he's going to be the grand marshal. So
Oh, good. Sounds like fun.
it is fun, very fun,
Sounds
but
like-
it's daunting. It's a huge task.
Yeah.
So.
I noticed that banners have gone up just
Yes.
overnight down.
Yeah, they have a
Whitfield.
lot of great sponsors, so they've worked really, really hard to get all that. This is just the kickoff of it, but there's so much more coming in the next year, so.
Stay tuned.
Okay, 6E, Eagle Scout projects, the bocce courts and the Long Hill Park barn at the football field.
Bocce court is completed, the seniors are using it, and the barn, Justin Clark has begun that project, he was there the last 2 weekends, and probably this weekend, I told him, let me know, so I can come and check, on how you're doing, so he's gonna let me know when it's gonna be, either Saturday or Sunday.
And he's coordinated that because I know the youth football had already
He
started
has,
practice. so-
yeah, and youth football is paying for the materials, the paint and brushes
Okay,
and whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Item F, the senior issues, we had formed a subcommittee to discuss basically bus policies and transportation, and so I'll turn it to you, Rose, or to Jack?
Well, you know what, we'll start. Jack and I met with Rick and Terry and Larry to talk basically about the breakfast issue. And the issue really was that the guys are having a lot of trouble trying to get breakfast together, lunch together, and Meals on Wheels together. So after we talked this out a bit, we really realized that what they really needed was some help. And the help they needed basically was collecting money and just putting on the coffee. And they thought that if they had somebody to do those chores, then they could really focus on the cooking and it would make it a lot easier. So we thought we would try to get some seniors or someone to take this on as a little part-time thing. And actually, we have a volunteer who is now coming in one morning a week. But we just want to go with that for a bit to see how it works out. And if we find out that that really helps, then we can look for somebody for the other 3 days and see how we can do this. So we're working our way towards that one, sort of slowly but carefully, but we're going to get there. The busing, the problem we found when we got down to the bottom line of the problem was that we need more help dispatching, and we also needed to try and rein in some of the rides. So we really haven't come up with a huge solution at this point, but what we thought we might try to do is to maybe limit the times that people go into New Haven to maybe 1 or 2 days a week from 9 to 1, so that we'd only have to send a driver down to really sort of take care of that whole issue. And that would sort of keep us from running in there 2 or 3 times a week. We thought we might also limit it to the neighboring towns and not try to go out towards Woodbridge. West Haven, we talked a bit about that, but West Haven's the VA hospital's there. We need to get these people there. So we would do that. But understand that all of these rides are only for medical reasons. To go outside of Guilford is only for a non-emergency medical. So these are people that need to get to doctor's appointments. And the other thing we thought we might look at some point and talk about is maybe charging $2 a ride just to help offset the cost. Now, we know that there's My Ride, and Rick will fill you in on My Ride in a minute.
Okay.
And in terms of the dispatchers, we thought maybe what we could try to do is just rearrange the bus driver's hours so that maybe 1 or 2 of them come in and help with the dispatching, so that when Barbara leaves, Terry doesn't have to take her time to do this, take care of the bus dispatch. So we're looking at some alternatives. You know, I don't think we have an absolute positive solution at this point, but we have some things that we're going to try. So I think next month we'll probably come with maybe something a little more concrete to vote on.
I like the idea of limiting the times that you go into New Haven so that if they make their doctor's appointments, they know they have to make them on either Tuesday or Thursday. I think that would rein things in.
That would help. That would help. We thought that would help.
Do you know if they contacted that organization for seniors staying in their homes, if there was any outreach to
Yeah,
that
we
group?
did, but we didn't.
To see if they have any kind of volunteer or, I know you have to have licensed drivers and so
Yeah.
forth, that's another issue, but
Yeah.
did they have
I
any,
think
do you know if they've reached
I don't know
out
if
to
we
them?
have. I don't know if we have reached out to them.
I'm not sure that group's
I
in
just-
existence. I think they were, there were a couple different groups, Bohune was heading one up.
Came,
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
they're not doing much right now because they just weren't getting anywhere with what they're trying to do.
Well,
Not
there's a
because of their
yearly
efforts, but
fee,
they,
I think, as well, too.
there was gonna be a fee with that. But with My Ride, Terry and I met with the executive director of the Great New Haven Transit District on Friday, and that's who administers the My Ride program. They go 6 days a week from 5:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. So their hours are way beyond what we do. And they'll bring, if people need a ride to work, they actually bring people to work. And so they service, their numbers over a 6-month period was around 800 rides over a 6-month period that they've provided. And it's only 25 people. So they're servicing 25 people, but we looked at the list, like somebody went 67 times they're on dialysis. So they had to be brought to Branford for that, and it's like, 3 days a week or something. So over a 6-month period, this one individual was 67 times they had to bring this person someplace. So they're definitely meeting some needs that we're not doing. I think it's a good program where maybe we work in tandem. But Terry mentioned to them that she's had complaints from some of the seniors about the wait time. Or, for example, there was somebody who needed a ride to a doctor, and they got picked up 10 minutes before the doctor appointment. They ended up being like 40 minutes late for the doctor because they were late picking them up. And we talked about that. And they say they have a new way they're doing it now. That they say that it would be more efficient, better now than what they were doing before. But one of the questions I asked, do you have a bus that just kind of hangs out in Branford and Madison and just does a route? They said no, they all come out of New Haven. And if they have one driver might go to West Haven, then they might come to Guilford, they might go to Madison. They don't have anybody assigned, it just does a route here. So, but whatever method they're doing now, which I don't know exactly how they're changing, but they pretty much guaranteed us it's going to be better, it's going to work better than it did before. However, somebody could spend an hour on the bus. And if they have to get to New Haven, they might say, we got to pick you up at 7:30 for your, 9:30 appointment or something like that. We can't say we're going to get there at, you're gonna spend 15 minutes on the bus. So their goal is to have no longer than an hour for anybody to be on a bus.
And what are their parameters for, who do they serve?
They serve anybody 16 over.
16 over?
Yeah, yeah.
And so how is that different than the population that we serve?
We're 55 and older.
Yes.
If you're disabled, though, having a disability is also, you know, criterion. I mean, to say you
An
could be
exception?
younger.
If
could
you're
be
younger with a
than have
disability,
55.
yes.
Correct,
Disability.
yes, yeah.
Wasn't me
That's
very-
correct.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand, yeah, yeah.
Same thing with us, too, yeah. I think the way we can work, I think, together more with them is we're trying to limit our long reach. We're going a long way, going out, like, we did go to Woodbridge a couple times, with the Wallingford a couple times. Trying to encourage those people that, you know, if we say our let's say our radius is, I don't know, just say Clinton to downtown New Haven or something. Somebody has to go outside of that, we'll encourage them to go with My Ride. So, you know, here's our boundary. If you're going beyond that, we encourage you to go to My Ride. Obviously, if somebody's really stuck, we're not gonna say no to anybody, we can't. I mean, we've gotta be human beings and give help if we need it. But we're trying to set up some more parameters than what we have right now. And as Rose said, we're gonna work on it a little bit more. We thought, let's see how this new My Ride, the way they're doing it now, if this really does work better. I know it's in the senior newsletter, encouraging people that it's available, and Terry's gonna try to encourage more to sign up for that, because you have to get on their list. I think you have to make the call like a week before for an appointment. You can't just call 2 days before and say, can you pick me up? Right, does it say that?
Says
How much does
specifically.
My Ride charge?
$250.
They charge
No,
each way.
It says per way, yeah,
Yeah.
each way.
Rose, when you were, you and Jack were looking at this, did you get in touch with the Madison?
Terry, I got ahold of Terry, and Terry did contact the magazine.
Okay, because I understood from the person who was in charge of the senior program there that they go to the VA hospital like 4 days a week. It seems like they have a big demand for that particular location for service. I mean, I would wonder if there wasn't a chance to dovetail with them,
And there might be, as we
partner with
start to
them.
look at this, yes.
If they can come to Guilford and pick people up and go,
Yes.
you know, on the days they go to West Haven.
There might be a way to do that.
Yeah.
Shared services.
Yeah, Barbara, to that point, a good friend of mine is the chairperson of the Madison Senior Citizen Committee.
Uh-huh.
She's in Portugal with her husband until September 19th.
It's a little hard to ask her about it then.
Yeah, and she has been for a while.
Okay.
But,
Maybe there's a shared service
Yeah. Right.
opportunity.
yeah,
Maybe even beyond the, beyond just going to West Haven.
Yeah.
We can look at.
I was really
Possible.
impressed when I spoke with him about the number, that they're increasing their services in transportation rather than being concerned about bringing them down.
Well, clearly there's an expanding need, so.
And that's one of the points that the executive director at Greater New Haven said. She said, this is, if it's an issue now, it's gonna get bigger because of the
Yeah.
expanded need. You know, as the biggest demographic is baby boomers.
Mm.
And, you know, as we all age, you know, and may need these services more, there's gonna be more demand as we move forward, not less.
Now, I'm just a little hesitant to move too quickly on this.
Absolutely.
Either way.
Right.
And you know what, once we do move, no matter what we do, it's, what is it, you know, if 50% of the people are gonna be unhappy, at
Oh, I
least,
agree.
no matter what we do. But again,
You might be
our
servicing
objective when we got
50%.
together was, as I've tried to do with other things, is put a policy in place. It can't be a surprise to everybody. If it turns out to be a combination of the current existing policies between what we have, which is published monthly in our bulletin, news to me until my wife educated me a little bit, and the description of what My Ride provides. If we've got some compromise there along the way, we put something down and we don't shock anybody. The one thing I don't want to do is say on January 1st, effective today,
No, we
we
have
don't
no
do this
intention of
anymore.
doing that.
That-
We have no
and
intention
so,
of doing that.
but I also don't think we need to be running all over the state with taking people to medical appointments if there is a service like this available. And that was my comment. The only other thing is, what happened, we talked a little bit about a grant, didn't we? But
There is a grant, but we're not sure whether or not we could get partial of it, part
Okay.
of it. If we take the entire grant, then we would have to provide everything that My Ride provides. I don't know that we want to go there,
No, I hate, well, okay.
okay? That would really be
No.
expanding.
We did bring that up when we
So
went to
we
that
are
meeting,
looking.
asked about that, and they weren't sure if you can get the grant is locked in, it's the same fiscal year as ours, so it's locked in until the end of June anyway, so the new grant round comes out January, February, and that's when they said we can look in to find out, is it possible to get a partial grant? So if we need to extend, give us some additional hours for drivers or some more dispatch help, maybe we need $6,000 or something, we would figure that out, but we don't know yet if there's a partial grant or it's all or nothing.
It would be, the initial impression I got was that it's a grant that we could use to help supplement the services we provide. If we do apply for a grant, this is my opinion, again, if we do apply for a grant and it necessitates us increasing the types of service and the amount of service we provide, then we really gotta take a look at that before we say we want
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Right,
Yeah, okay.
of course.
All right, so we've talked about the bus policy. Breakfast, did we talk about the
Yeah, we
breakfast?
did.
at all?
We started
And
with
we already did the staffing. Just for your own information, we will also address the staffing with Larry's concerns during the next budget process. Okay, we have to take a look
We
at
do
that.
need to do that.
Yes. So. 7, new business. Lake Quantapug weeds.
Yeah, I put that in there because I just think, want to put on the radar for us to think about long-range plans, that the swimming at Lake Quantapug is getting worse and worse because of Eurasian milfoil, which is the dominant weed that's in the beach area. It's all over the lake. It's not just affecting us, but everybody on the lake. But it's a state lake, so we don't have a lot of authority to do anything there. But the way we've taken care of it in the past is Greg Bugby, who's a Guilford resident, he's works at a Connecticut experimental station, and he has an underwater weed whacker. And so when we tell him the weeds are bad, he comes with a little boat and he goes out there and he mows them down. But the Eurasian milfoil is like dandelions. When you shake them, seeds spread, and so the next year it's worse, and they kind of reseed. We want them to reseed a different way. Not, you know what I mean. Anyway, we want to get better, not worse.
I got it.
And so I spoke with Greg, and I spoke with Senator Meyer because one of his aides had called me and said he had gotten a complaint from somebody swimming in the lake, how bad it is, and what can we do about it. And so when we're down at the beach grand opening, Senator Meyer and I were chatting a bit. And one of the things that I had suggested, if we can try to get the state to agree, one possible solution is to try to drain the lake down some, not drain it up, and maybe drop it down 5 feet. I'm only basing that on a couple things. One is I have a friend that's got a cottage on Columbia Lake in Columbia, Connecticut, and I've been going there one weekend. He's a college friend. We get together for about 25 years. We've been going and having a picnic and swimming. Their lake is pristine. You don't see any weeds anywhere. They drain it down every year. And they drain it down because of the ice with the docks and everything, but also to control the weeds. And I talked to Greg Bugby about that, and I think he said there are 1 or 2 other lakes in the state they're doing that, and it does have some positive impact. But what they don't know is what impact does it have downstream? How much can you drain out, and whose property down there?
Where does it go?
Are those lakes
we don't wanna-
comparable size to Quantapug though, or are they as big as Quantapug is, or?
Columbia Lake, I think it's probably a little bit. Yeah. The best eagle is in there, it's more, it's a little bit larger. But there's a lot of environmental issues have to be discussed. And he was going to talk to somebody from DEEP about that, and also about, could the state do something with the dam that's there? If that is a possibility, can they do something with the dam so we can now, do this as an option? The other options are we keep weed whacking it. We have to do it about 3 times a year. It's a temporary solution, but they just come back, and they come back worse the next year, and it gets thicker and thicker. A bunch of years ago, Ellen looked into a Bendick blanket. We looked into that, and there wasn't grant money available, but that would seem to be a challenge. How do you get it in there? How do you weight it down? And does it really work well? And so, there are some options. So what I asked Greg, he was going to talk to DEP, discuss with them the various options, which one might be the most viable. There's also chemical applications, but that, it's a little harder to do these days, the whole issue with chemicals. So anyway, he and I spoke about 2 weeks ago. He was going to talk to DEP, and then at some point we'll have a little meeting and find out, what is something we can do, because it's really getting bad for people trying to swim in our beach area. And homeowners, who have homes around the lake, it's even worse.
Are there any kind of fish that eat that particular vegetation? I know in our village, Pondside Village, we ended up putting sterilized carp in there. Now granted, it's a smaller little pond, however, they did eat that particular vegetation that we had growing in ours. Now, we had to go through the state and, put up a barrier and so forth. But the bottom line was the triploid amur carp that we put in did end up eating the vegetation and keeping it at bay. So I didn't know if maybe perhaps there's some kind of fish that,
It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
Can we
Greg
put
would know
in?
that better than I would, or
Yeah.
the folks at DEP, but, we want to see what all the options are and what would be the best option and
Right.
most effective option, and hopefully the least costly one, and try to get something going. You may remember a few years back, they were looking into dredging the south end of the lake. It's almost-
Because of the lily pads.
Yeah, it's almost become like an island there,
Yeah.
just closing in. And that didn't work out, they didn't do it, so, that was an option that was explored too.
yeah, you do have to stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe it's time, well, it's state-owned, so I think we do need to get them involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
How, is there a homeowners association that surrounds Quantipoc that might be interested in whatever we decide to do in
Yeah,
the
they used-
future? I
They
mean,
used to have almost like a lake manager that lived in that area.
Mhm.
I think it was Ed Finger, and I'm not sure he's still there, but he was sort of a volunteer that was an environmentalist who knew about, different options there. I don't know if there's an association, I'm not sure, but we certainly get their input when we, just whatever we want to do.
Yeah, I could get that.
Must be Ben Sylvester.
Yeah, Ben was involved in too, yeah.
He's still alive.
but the key here is, just to reiterate for the camera, it's state-owned Lake
Right.
Quantipoc, so.
Yeah.
We can't be held accountable for something we don't own. I mean, we can try and push something to get
Right.
done, but.
We're just trying to make the swim area better.
Mhm.
So how's it left? I mean, Ed Myers is aware of the problem.
He's aware of it, and Greg Bugby was gonna contact the appropriate people in DEP and then get back to
So
me.
that's the next step,
Yeah.
okay.
And I believe Senator Meyer is also chairman of the environmental committee
Yes.
too, or
Yeah.
Senate co-chair.
7B, paddleboat policy, Rick?
Yeah, again, I
Age
just want to bring this
requirements.
up, because we had a couple challenges, I'd say, from people questioning what we were doing. We didn't have any restrictions on who could go on the paddle boats, as long as an adult was on there. And so there was a gentleman who brought a young child, like about a year old, on the boat. And so somebody called me and said, "Don't you have a policy against, 1-year-olds being on these paddle boats?" And I said, "Well, we don't." And then we looked at the life jackets that we had, and they were appropriate for, we thought, 5 and older. And so the policy was 5 and older. And so things were going along smoothly, and in the last week that we were open, I got a woman who had a 2-year-old and said, "How come I can't bring my 2-year-old on the paddle boat?" And I explained to her why, and I said, "Well, look, we can talk about it for next year, and we could, there was only 1 week left, I wasn't gonna make any changes at that point." But I spoke with our insurance representative from Kerma, Joey Barbara, and he basically thought, he was gonna give me something in writing, which I don't have yet, but his opinion was that if we have life jackets that are age appropriate, if you have life jackets appropriate for a 1-year-old, then why not let a 1-year-old go on the paddle boat? Because, their head's gonna, they're gonna,
Right.
those jackets are not gonna flip over, they'll float, you don't have to worry about them drowning or getting injured if they fell off. And so, I've had staff look into that, and we found we can get life jackets for,
Mhm.
6 months olds if we want, whatever, they have all kinds of sizes, so, we got some time to think about it, but unless you want to say right now, hey, look, we get the right size life jacket, and you have something appropriate for a 20-pound child, get the life jackets and let them out next year. We were just trying to be appropriate, because again, our life jackets were
Yeah.
for 5 and older, and I was concerned if a 1-year-old slipped through it or
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely.
We had a liability
Yeah, no,
there,
that
and
was
so that's
smart.
why we made 5 the minimum age.
I don't see any reason why we couldn't have life jackets that go from, obviously, I don't think they have infant life jackets, but I'm sure they have 1-year-olds and on up. And if we had some for
6 months,
each age, because it is a requirement, the Coast Guard requires that every child under the age of 12 on a boat
Right.
wear
Yeah.
a personal flotation device. And wear
Yeah.
life jackets. So
Yeah.
I think if we had those in stock, I don't see why we would, why wouldn't we think that's a good investment to
Mhm.
keep people happy and keep the boats
Yeah.
in use? That's
And
what
keep
we
them
want.
safe.
And keep
Sure.
the kids safe. So I would move that we ask you and the staff to look into the best life jackets for little kids that you can get and have a few on hand, so they can use the boats.
I think they
We
go by
gotta-
weight probably, so it's, like
Yeah,
a 20
Yeah.
pound.
if we get a definitive policy about our liability and our insurance and our exposure, and that policy, I think, would dictate who we allow to go on the paddle boats, provided that there are jackets, and if we have to purchase the jackets to provide that, we will.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I think it's gonna be driven by.
Confirmation from
yeah.
insurance.
By insurance.
Yeah,
And he already gave that to you, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're good.
okay.
So,
So we'll get some
Guess that
jackets
settles
on
that.
for next year.
Again, another policy that we have to write. You get tired of me.
And you'll just need to figure out how many per weight.
Right.
Yeah.
group,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, they
kind
must
of
have a
thing,
sense of what the average is, it's like usually an adult and one child would have, you wouldn't have an adult with, well, maybe you would.
We probably don't need more than like 2 or 3 of the each
Each.
size. We
Yeah,
only have
that's
2
right.
paddle boats, I think,
Yeah.
anyway, so,
Right.
we don't need like a
And I'm
dozen
sure
of
it's
them.
mostly older, kids, 6-year-olds and 7 and 8-year-olds that want to go on the paddle boat.
Yeah, yeah.
The
And they
only
gotta
reason
go
an
with
infant
adult
would go
anyway.
or a 1-year-old is because the parent wants to go, probably.
Right, yeah.
And what's the age that we have that they can go on it without an adult?
I don't recall, it's either 12 or 16, I don't remember which.
Right, but we require that up to the age of, through 12.
Even
they do
adults,
wear-
everybody's
and
got a
adults
life
wear
jacket,
them.
adults too. And if they take the kayak or the paddle boat, either one,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
Rick, is the paddle boat, is that a vessel like a boat, or is it a flat board? Because I've seen that advertised in town as well.
No.
That's paddle board, and paddle boat is kind of rectangular shaped, it's got 2 little seats, well, actually 4.
Push
You got
like
2
you're riding a
Okay,
bike.
so
And it's got
Okay.
pedals, like a bike,
Yeah.
sort of.
Bike.
Okay.
We got,
It's like a bumper car.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Bumper car on water. It's a good
Trust me,
analogy.
I've seen how they use them.
And, it's pretty safe. We have, they gotta bring we have a walkie-talkie they take in there with them, so if they have a problem, can't get back,
Thank
somebody
you.
can go out and rescue them, get them back in. We have
Very good.
somebody lets us borrow their rowboat with a little motor on it, so if we had it with a motorized boat, go and get something and tow them back in, we can. So it's pretty well organized, the way we do it down. There's a waiver form everybody has to sign and fill out, and, we have the whole list of rules that the commission approved, and
Mhm.
the only thing that was a little bit up in the air was what is the minimum age, and I think if we get the right size jackets, and I think we answered that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
7C, after-school team program. Talk about this one.
This calendar, this is a sample, this is not, exactly what we may be implementing. But this was something that Ellen and Dustin put together last week. So what we're bringing this to your attention because it'll be a little change in the way we're doing things if we go this direction. Right now, well, school started last week, and I think the second day, we already had 30 or 40 kids coming after school, junior high kids.
Wow.
And it was still nice weather, so in the winter, that could balloon. It's a good thing. The kids want to come here. We've been striving for this for a long time, and we're happy with that. But we really, and we've talked about this before, we really can't have kids just coming and just running around the building. There's no, or very little supervision. And in fact, one I think it was last Thursday, or Wednesday or Thursday last week, there were quite a few kids that came in, and I sent Dustin down to the Guilford room to maybe play basketball with them. As soon as he showed up, they all left.
Oh.
And, because now there was an adult there, and they left. But generally, they've been allowed to come in, they've been in the game room, the Alexander Lounge, although we ended up locking that for a while last year because they were writing on the walls, they were destroying things in there. We've had, I don't want to go through all the different issues right now, but we've had some issues with some of the kids here. And most of them are junior high. We have some high school kids, but for the most part, it's junior high kids. And it's convenient because they walk down from Adams School, and it's a safe place to be. And but as you know, we've lost some ceiling tiles in the Guilford room, and the basketballs like to find their way up there. And
Rick, they may even be younger than Adams, because I know there was a bunch of Baldwin kids getting off the bus at Adams and coming down here too.
Could be,
so
could be that too,
Might
yeah,
even be
yeah.
younger than that.
They all are supposed to sign in. We have a sign-in sheet at the front desk so we know who's here, but, you know, there aren't always the right names put down there or not the right phone numbers. So what we were talking about is making it, rather than just a drop-in, come hang out, come and go as you please, considering more of a structured program. Like they'd have to, if we did this, they'd have to sign up, like somebody registers for aerobics or taekwondo or gymnastics or any program we have. And this would be the sample schedule, and they're proposing, you know, I mean, the fee we can play around with, but for $35 a month, you're on the roster, you pay, and these are the activities you have, and this is the activity. If you don't want to play basketball, you can come in that room there and watch, but that's what we're doing for the day. It's not just walking around the building and, you know, deciding you want to go to the green and come back and forth. It has some structure to it. And like any program, there'd be a staff person, like an instructor, who would be here, maybe two, depending on the number of kids. They'd be here to maybe one stays in the game room, one's in the Guilford room, and it's a more structured activity.
Would there
The
be
kids
a
would sign
possibility of
themselves
different
up.
activities?
Yeah.
So that, you know, the ones who don't want to play basketball, there'd be an
Then
alternative,
the game
like
room
an
would be
art or
open.
something, or-
Yeah, or if they want to hang out and do their homework, or,
Yeah.
well, not that many of them do their homework here, but, yeah, but we have to kind of, we gotta have some more structure to it, because right now kids can, they kind of come and go. See, it's hard because we have three different doors that they can come in and go out. So it's not like one way in, one way out. So we don't have anybody standing at the back door or the courtyard door over here kids are going in and out. We don't have any way of controlling that. And so we're trying to, and we want to invite kids to come here and feel comfortable being here, but we have to offer more structure than we're offering right now, or more supervision. And it's hard to do it the way we're set up right now. Because, I mean, I end up jumping up and down. I run down. I go down to the Guilford room and see who's down there. And, you know, I got other work I have to do. I can't keep running down and find out, you know, who's shooting basketballs against the ceiling down there.
Rick, do they sign themselves in and out, or is it a
Yeah.
parent
That's my
that has-
question.
No, they sign themselves in.
So if they, let's say, you know, they pay, the parents pay the monthly fee, and it says after school hours will be supervised, are we responsible if they don't show up? Or they can come and go at will? One day they may come, they may not come another day.
Good point.
We're not responsible for, hey, you know, Johnny didn't show up at 3:30 today. Now
Where
we
are
are
they?
responsible to call
Exactly.
the
Very good
parent.
point, yeah.
I think we have to be.
We talked about that today, and that would go along, I think, with the, they put in here a.
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct, yeah. There's a list of rules, code of conduct, we put in there, and I think we'd have to make sure the parents sign off on that they understand it.
Your kid may not show
We're
up,
not
but
guaranteeing
that's
your
not
kids here.
responsible.
Because here, I know tell you what's gonna happen. Some kids are gonna come here,
Exactly.
they take off, and then they show back up at 5 o'clock when the parents come to pick them up.
Absolutely.
That's
Parents
what-
think they're here all the
that's what I'm
time, and
concerned
they're
about.
somewhere else.
I think
How do we
legally,
control that?
they can't be left alone in a public place until they're 12. I mean, they could be at home or whatever, but they can't be left alone. I remember looking that up, so what about if you have like Baldwin kids down here that are 10 and, you know, I know they do it. I know, because I know of a bunch of kids that get dropped off at Adams and walk down here,
Mhm.
so.
And the other
But
thing
we know if they
is,
come in or not.
if they're not using their legitimate names,
Right.
but
Or phone
I mean, I would
numbers.
imagine if you end
So
up
then
doing
you-
this, you might need to have them
Little
have ID
ID
cards.
cards.
Do they have this-
Picture
does the
ID
school
that
issue
they
School
have
provides
to
it.
have
Schools
it.
provide
I think
it.
Adams has
School
one.
has an
School
ID,
provides a picture ID.
so we need their school ID.
I feel like this is a can of worms. Like, I
Yeah.
don't, you know, I think it's something.
But at the same time, if they're already here,
Yeah.
you already have.
You already have the can
the
open.
mess.
But it's almost like
Exactly.
you're legitimizing a program and a responsibility, you know?
Right.
That's
But
why
by
my
not
concern
doing
is
it, then
that-
you still have the liability. So it's more saying, you know, how do we manage
I
the
wonder how other
liability?
towns do it. Like, I wonder if there's like, we can benchmark against how, if other towns do
Well, a
something.
lot of the towns have what they call like a teen supervisor, you know,
Yeah.
so like a position, and it's their responsibility to program it, staff it. I know Old Saybrook has that, 'cause there's a couple of our staff who work with us in the summer, work in Old Saybrook in that program there. I know Newington does. Weathersfield, I'm not sure, but, I mean, a lot of towns don't do anything.
Mm.
We're trying to be proactive, and as I said, we're glad that the kids, but I have to tell you, when I look out my window, suddenly I see 30 kids walking by my window, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
who's gonna want, and I say to the custodian, go lock all the rooms, we don't want anybody to be in right now.
Yeah.
Because
You
you
know, if
come
they're
up here,
not
we
here,
don't know
they're at
they're
the
here.
library, they do come down, they're all around.
Oh, they're all
you know,
over.
They're all
Yeah.
over the place. So, I mean, it makes sense to have some sort of program, but I think we really need to think about how we're
Yeah.
gonna do it, you know?
I'm just concerned about the responsibility.
And is there a partner in this? I mean, what about Guilford Youth
Family
and Family Services
There you
as
go.
a
Well,
partner?
Well,
or
Ellen met with
something?
them last week to raise that issue with them, and,
Discussing this plan
yeah,
or possible plan?
yeah.
What were they thinking?
Yeah, what was their feedback?
I think that what she came away with is they're busy doing a lot of their own things, they're doing a lot of programs for kids, and we were kind of looking to, I think it's a town issue, and is it all Parks and Rec's responsibility
Right,
to
no.
deal with the issue?
Remember, we're just stewards of this building. We
Right.
don't, you know, just because we're here doesn't mean that we're responsible for everything that goes on here, that there's other town, it's just like the shelter issue. Just because the shelter happens to be in the building where we're office,
Right, it's a
doesn't
shared
mean that it's
responsibility.
our responsibility to run a shelter, which is the point I made to the first selectman
Right.
some time ago.
Yeah.
It needs a shared responsibility. So
I
the
agree.
teenagers in this town should be a shared
Belong to all of us.
responsibility
Well,
with Park and Rec and any other part of the town's
It is,
government.
it is a shared responsibility. The library has some
Well,
programs
that's
that
what I say,
they
libraries
run.
do too, yeah.
You know, Youth and Family Services have programs they
Yeah.
run. You know, it probably would not hurt us to try this. But no matter what program you run, there's always going to be the few kids who figure out the out. You're never going to have a perfect program.
Yeah.
Right.
There's always some kids who figure out how they
These
can get
kids who don't
around
want to
it.
be in the
I
structure.
think what we
of
need to do,
programs.
right,
They're
but we need
supporting
to
them.
do something for the kids who would really enjoy this.
There's a real gap in that age group of something to do
Absolutely.
right after, in those
Right.
few hours, you know, and that's when they find a lot of trouble, you know, and I think it would be great to have an option. I just think we need to really be really thoughtful about how we do it.
Yeah, I think the whole code of conduct, and it has to be completed, and then the supervision aspect in terms of what's our parameters of where our responsibility begins and ends.
Mhm.
Even if Guilford Youth and Family Services can't, you know, offer staffing or anything like that, I think helping us design it would be really nice to have some input from them.
Well, I think the draft on Mondays and Thursdays and I mean, when there's not a special activity going on, then they would just come in and kind of hang out on Monday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, I don't know, that's a good question.
That's
I mean,
kind of a
it-
rough draft, right?
Yeah,
But
and
I
I think,
like the
not every day is the big room available, or after,
Okay.
like, there's taekwondo going on down there at 2 days a week at 4 o'clock, so, yeah, until 4, maybe it could be, but then they'd have to clear out and, you know, couldn't use that room, but,
Well, I like the idea of the activities.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're good activities listed.
I think
And-
finding the balance between super structured and structured is the hard part with that age group, because
Mhm.
the more structured it is, the more they're gonna be like,
Well, you
know?
said, you know,
Well, they would
an
have a
adult shows
choice
up and
whether they wanted to
they
do
leave.
these.
So,
But on the other hand,
Supervision.
the ping pong tournament that's in here, Matt Ursone, last spring, as part of his internship, did a ping pong tournament, 44 kids came
Wow.
to it. I think 4 signed up, but 40 more showed up, they all wanted to play, and so
Word
we
of
had
mouth.
to scramble and get, you know, some prizes and things. But they loved it, and
And
there was
that
a
could
little
be-
structure to that.
what could happen is that once kids see that, oh, it's not so bad if an adult's in the room and they're doing a structured activity, it is fun.
Yeah.
They just need to give it a chance.
Plus,
But I think-
Matt is a young,
Yeah,
I mean,
and they all
they
know
look
him
at
at
the
camp, you know?
adult, but if they get the college or high school kid that would come in,
Yeah.
they can relate to a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they look at some of us and they just think, ugh.
No.
You know,
No, gee.
not ugh, but it's, you know,
It's
they're gonna be
different.
in our face. It's not, I'm gonna stop
It's not
while I'm
cool.
ahead. but you know what I- Do
I
you
think
know what I
Ellen
mean?
deserves a fair amount of credit, though, for this, because she
Yeah.
has been
Yeah,
trying since she
absolutely.
got here, however many years ago it was, 5 now? 4 or 5?
Yeah,
To
6.
try to reach out to this age group. So whatever we can do as a
Yeah.
commission to support that, I think is really important.
That's great.
You know, I think this would be a good start, and then as it goes along, we'd have to keep refining it.
Yeah.
But I think we need to start somewhere, and I think this is a good start.
So would you approve us then, because the change is the kids can just show up right now. And so if we're gonna go with this, we have to register, and parents have to sign the code of conduct and all this stuff, it's a program, then people who are not registered would be turned away,
Mhm.
right?
And they have to have the ID.
But then they would have the option of registering.
Right.
If they really wanted to come, they can register, so.
Mhm.
And it's,
I
the
would say
fee
it's not
isn't
closed
exorbitant. I
registration.
mean, we could make scholarships available if
Mhm.
for some
Oh,
reason that
absolutely.
was necessary.
Mhm.
And the other thing, though, I would like to have is a conversation once again with insurance around
Yeah.
the parameters and liability associated
That's
with
my
it.
Yeah, what a liability, what our
What kind
exposure
of
might
exposure
be.
do we have?
Yeah.
I have no program of this nature.
But now,
And, food for thought, if we decide this is something which is positive, which I think it is, and I think it's a way of maybe turning the perception of this being a senior center to a true
Mhm.
community center,
Mhm.
then we have to look at it from a budgetary response and who might share the responsibility, be it Youth and Family Services along with Park and Recreation, because didn't they once have a committee that consisted of Youth and Family Services, the police department?
Yes, that was that youth initiative.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, from a
Yeah.
budget planning
Yes.
perspective, this is something else that we have to put in our minds and say, if this is a successful pilot program, then what do we need to do in the years to come to staff something like this? And I think those responsibilities should be shared. And we'll provide the facility, we'll provide some kind of supervision, but maybe Youth and Family Services. What a great opportunity for somebody in a college student or whatever to earn a couple extra bucks working 3 hours a day.
do they,
That's my perception.
do
of
they
it.
still
I
have
might do it.
the,
It could be $10 an hour. I'll come in.
Yeah, but they don't want you
you're
to
too
supervise.
busy,
I'm sorry.
you're too
You're
busy
too old.
substitute.
You're too old.
You got both,
Do they
two
still-
olders, right.
Do they still, yeah.
Isn't that
Boy, did I open mouth, insert foot. Do they still have the DARE officer? I mean, could
No.
No, oh.
No.
Suzanne, what is the group that,
thinking maybe he
that
could
started
come in.
out, it was a strategic planning effort around kids in Guilford,
I-
and then there was.
When they had all those signs up and
Yes,
it
yes,
was-
and then, and there was a group that, that continued on afterwards to try to implement some of the ideas that came out of the strategic planning. It was really a future search
Yeah.
process.
I know what you're talking, and actually, I do know somebody who does kind of the same thing for Clinton, so she worked with them a little bit, so
Okay.
I can talk to her about it and see.
Because
she
that's,
remembers.
that's the kind of group that we should be partnering with as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, actually, she's a Guilford resident and works for Clinton doing alcohol and,
Mhm.
you know, not diversion programs for kids there, so I can talk to her about it, 'cause I know she partnered with them here. so.
Okay, good.
Kids are their best.
So what I'm hearing, Rick, is that we should proceed with basically this draft as a guideline. Address some other issues that we have as far as a liability perspective.
Yeah, insurance.
Implement it as a pilot program. Take what we learn from that and put it into the budget planning process for the future if we decide something to continue.
Maybe
Okay.
come back to our next meeting with some of the, the code, some of the materials that that are
Like
gonna
that
go
code of
along with the
conduct.
program, the code of conduct, registration, that, kind of the policies.
How are you gonna, would you distribute or just give this information out?
Bag stuffers to the kids to
Hand
take
out at
home.
Adams.
Yeah, mail it at Adams.
We could talk with the Adams and Baldwin PTO, is gonna have a newsletter, right, that goes out, it's monthly, Rose, do you know?
Yes,
Do a
usually.
PR push in the shoreline.
Usually.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You could also go in and talk to the kids during lunch.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's a lot you can do.
I have an
That's not a
11-year-old,
bad
and
idea.
next
Go to
year
the
he would
schools,
love
have a
something
meeting,
like
a
this
auditorium
after school,
session.
maybe a couple days a week. I can see him being really excited about something like this, so.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, that's good.
Well, I mean, anything that you do prior to us getting together again in October, like if you do have a conduct policy and you'd like to solicit opinions from other commissioners, don't be
Email out.
afraid to use the
Yeah.
email and get it, and if nothing else, we can look at it that way.
Okay.
7D, there had been some discussion at the last meeting about potential, Shannon, and you might want to listen to this too, about potential about not necessarily changing the date, but the time of the meeting,
Commission meeting.
of the commission
regular
meeting. I just throw that out for discussion, if anybody has any thoughts or concerns.
Earlier or later?
Earlier.
Earlier.
Well,
I don't have a problem with meeting early.
Yeah. I can
Early
do it.
as, yes, I,
What time earlier were you
Schedule.
thinking?
you have them.
I go in late, so I come home late from work, so probably 6:30 be the earliest I can meet. I could, 6:15.
Well, you know what, I'm not having the meetings like I used to. I used to
Yeah.
keep you guys here till 10. We're getting out.
6:30
A
I
little
can
bit
meet.
sooner
If we
now,
move-
so-
That's fine.
What would happen if we moved it to 6:30? Would that work for
That would
people?
work.
Could be a start.
Yeah.
That would actually give an opportunity, because Little League goes on at the same time, and I know sometimes I would like to go to the Little League meeting, go into that, and I know probably Jack, or John would
John.
too, so.
I'm retired. That's not an issue for me. And I know there's people in this room who still
Well,
have
let's try 6:30
families
and see
and,
what happens.
and a job, and then they have responsibilities. I mean, i.e. John cannot make it tonight between his job and his, he sent me an email, so he's excused. He's got the job, and then he also is a soccer official at the high school and the youth level. And it was a mandatory meeting for him tonight. So we understand that kind of stuff.
I tell them that. So,
Well, wait, where am
sorry?
Nice Italian restaurants.
So, do we
But I
want,
could, I mean, if I, know, then I can schedule.
So it's not a problem.
So do we want to say,
Now, do we have to do anything charter-wise or with the town, since we're making a change with or is that simply a choice of the commission itself?
I believe it's the
I mean, I think
commission's
we just
choice.
file a notice saying we're changing the meeting time.
Okay,
because they post it
Okay.
every
Yeah.
month, that,
Let the
whatever.
town know, Ralph.
all right. So when do we want to begin this? Starting in October?
Why not?
New start time of 6:30?
Do we need to check, John?
John has requested a conversation. I think he's feeling a little pressured right now, so, about what the commitment and everything else, because I had also talked to him about some budgetary stuff, so I'll have a conversation with him.
So unless we hear otherwise, our plan is for next
Yeah, no,
month.
I don't know
First
who-
Monday of the month would be 6:30 instead of
Good
7.
act on it, though.
unless
Kathy,
we-
would it be
Let's
you
make
that would
motion.
change it at town
That's-
hall or on the website or whatever, or wherever it's posted?
Who do we have to notify?
Ralph,
Post a-
we need to make a motion.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that next month, October 2013, our meeting would be moved from 7 PM to 6:30 on a trial basis to see if that works better for everyone's schedule.
Wait,
I just noticed that we should check and make sure, because I know sometimes there's been a Tai Chi or some other group here right before us. I don't know if that's, let me make sure we have a meeting.
Well, I'll second it.
But let me make sure we have a meeting space
Yeah.
at 6:30.
Providing this room is available at 6:30, I make a
Or
motion.
another room.
Or another room, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. or
Just
another-
a note for setup for the camera, though, I need about 20 to 30 minutes for setup, so your meeting might start at 6:30, but for it to start at 6:30, I've got to be able to get in ahead of time,
Okay.
for a half hour ahead of time and set up at 6.
Is that a problem for you?
No, as far as
It's not
the
a problem
room
for me
She
to
has to
go
availability.
6 for setup, but
So
I just
the
need-
room could be the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, but if I don't.
That's what Rick is gonna
If the
check.
room isn't available for me at 6, then we still might not be starting till 7.
Right.
If I
Right.
can't get
Okay.
in until 6:30.
fair enough.
So the room has to be available, or a room.
Okay.
Okay.
And since we have a motion.
In a second.
and a second-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 7E, the last
when
item.
the agenda comes for next meeting, could you put a big 6:30 on it, so, circled? I don't stroll in
Bold.
until
Bold.
7, I'm old.
Or I'll send an email reminding them to change the time.
Yes.
Okay, lacrosse.
Item
Okay.
7E, lacrosse scoreboard. This was news to me, but where do they want to put this?
Yeah, this just came late this afternoon. Lacrosse is interested, they've done a fundraiser to raise money for a scoreboard at Nut Plains Park. And they'd like to put because that's kind of their lacrosse, that's basically the lacrosse field there now. And they'd like to put it close to Dome Avenue, which, so they're not running electrical wires all across the entire field. It would be the side closest to where the power is, so they're not running. They'd pay for everything, they would pay for the scoreboard, electrical costs, probably the maintenance of it over time. I think it's similar to soccer, put one up at Vintner Park, they paid for it. I think they'd like to do the same thing, have a scoreboard for them, for the lacrosse games there.
My only request would be, and I certainly don't have a problem, if a youth group is willing to make an investment like that, my only concern would be that you make sure we get somebody to take a look at the spot that you're gonna put it, so that we don't wind up not being able to mow a 10-by-10 area or service a 10-by-10 area because the scoreboard's in the way. Because it's permanent, it's not gonna be movable.
Yeah, I would certainly meet out there with them to know the exact location. You know, I don't know the pinpoint spot, but they just said it'd be the Dome Ave side, which is where the power is anyway.
I certainly don't have a problem with it.
Do we need a motion?
I think so, because I told them they're gonna have to go to planning and zoning, and they're gonna probably wanna make sure the Parks and Rec Commission has approved it.
So I'll make
So
a
through-
motion to,
But through planning and zoning, the neighbors may not be happy. I
Right.
mean, anything lately you try to do,
as long
The
as they meet
neighbors are
the
concerned?
planning and zoning requirements.
Yeah, that's where the
That's-
item would have to be, you know.
that's planning and zoning.
That's right, it's not
That
us.
would deal with that.
That's- yeah,
Public
that's not us.
response, everything would have,
Right, if they
I
meet the
shouldn't be
planning and
saying
zoning
this.
requirements, then.
So you want to make a motion, Sue?
So I'm going to make a motion to accept the request from the Lacrosse Association to proceed with plans to purchase and install, with our guidance, post-plan zoning approval, a scoreboard on the field of Nut Plains.
And nobody. All in favor? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being heard, motion carries.
While we're on the Nut Plains Park, I happened to drive by it the other day, and it suddenly occurred to me that was one of our parks. We didn't go there on our park walk, but
That's
it's
what we
desperate
do.
for a new sign, so I think it should be next in line for one of our nice signs that identifies it as a Guilford Park and Recreation Department park. The sign is really looking quite shabby.
Is it? And I'll just ask the question, no plans, anybody going to the lobster cookout Thursday night?
Yeah, Wednesday night, I am.
Wednesday, or is it Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
What's the last?
Dennis and I are.
$25, choice of lobster, or prime rib, clam chowder.
Nut Plains Park?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn?
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so
Hang on one minute.
I beat you.